We're here at SuperReturns 2015 here in Amsterdam and going to have a little conversation about what the state of affairs is on the ground in emerging markets private equity. So let's start there. What are you seeing as trend lines in your overall footprint on the emerging markets private equity side?
So this is a year which has been interesting because you've had a lot of challenges around the emerging markets in general. And I think one thing we as investors always tend to do is just step back and take the long-term perspective. So despite some challenges around currency and some volatility in some of these markets, it's creating some very interesting opportunity, and you need to keep your sight on the long-term positive trends around these markets.
In particular, last year, for the first time, we had like a 3 or 4x increase in fundraising for sub-Saharan Africa. So historically, it's been about 1.4 billion. Last year, it was north of 4 billion by some estimates. I'm just wondering if you're seeing a change in valuations or a competitive landscape there. I know you've also exposure in Southeast Asia, Latin America, other parts of the world, but just curious about that specific trend line.
Africa's been flavor of the month for the past few months, and I think that has helped accelerate fundraising activity. It's an opportunity that's always been there, but I think most people now recognize that opportunity has been validated, and I think the absorptive capacity of that opportunity has opened up. So yes, there is more activity, yes, there is more competition, but again, the absorptive capacity there is larger, and if you're looking to generate deals proactively, it can definitely absorb it.
So crowded trades, like everybody being in the same towers business, that doesn't give you some kind of market signal, or you're still saying, look, there's still enough possible opportunity? I mean, the continent's very large, right?
Sure, the continent's large and is in deep need of investment, but there are some large obvious deals that get intermediated, and those are competitive, and sometimes the multiples can seem high, so you have to have a very strong view on what you want to do with these businesses. But in a lot of cases, you are seeing that the deals, at least from our own perspective, when we look at deals, we have bilateral discussions, engage with businesses proactively, businesses that we want to invest in, and look at how we can create a deal out of that, as opposed to deals that are being brought to us by intermediaries.
Yeah, so the on-the-ground presence, the kind of long-standing origination process really kind of helps your strategy.
Absolutely, helps the strategy, not just on origination, but also on risk management when you're close to your investments.
And so new entrants that are getting on the ground, do you have any advice for them as they kind of get into these markets for the first time?
I think different people have different strategies, and there's room for different strategies, but I think whether you're physically on the ground or sit somewhere else, it's extremely important to understand the local markets and what it takes to deliver growth.
Let's shift gears a little bit. There's been a big discussion recently about co-investment. LPs are asking for it, GPs are being forced to give it in some cases. There are what I would call co-investment tourists who show up and say that they want to do something but never actually stay there. I'm wondering, are you seeing pressure or trend lines in co-investment in your own business?
Interesting. First time I hear the co-investment tourist terminology, but we see a lot of that as well. So, up front when you're fundraising, a lot of LPs will tell you we're interested in co-invest. The reality, it boils down, there's a handful who have both the capability and the appetite to do so, and those are very active, and we've seen quite a bit of that. So a lot of our recent deals, whether in Africa, whether in Turkey, and other markets in Asia, and most of our markets, there's been quite a bit of co-invest.
So we do a lot of co-invest because we got an on-the-ground presence. I'm wondering if you think that there's any truth to the question of whether or not this is scaling deals out of the ordinary strike zone of a fund by saying, like, look, you've got to start to think about proactive co-investment sourcing. People are doing bigger transactions they might ordinarily do if they didn't have any co-investment appetite.
I think we engineered our recent generation of products with that in mind, knowing that there was co-investment appetite. So we knew the deal sizes we were targeting. We knew that in some of the larger deals we would need to reach out to co-investors. So we approached it proactively and thought it through and sized it for that, knowing that there would be co-investment activity, as opposed to having to look for larger deals to satisfy the co-investment appetite.
So 3 quick other questions. Rapid fire.
Sure.
Number 1, ESG. Tell us where you're going with it and how important it is to Abraaj overall.
We see it as a value creation tool and a risk mitigant, absolutely.
Terrific. Number 2, secondaries. The world is changing. We now have 15% of total global fundraising and private equity in the emerging markets. Are you starting to see secondaries activity on a direct side or on the LP side?
Yes. Both, and we've done on the direct side, we've done a couple of deals, and also some of our deals have been sold to other sponsors.
Final question, on a scale of 1 to 10, your outlook for the next 2 years, emerging markets private equity, 1 being absolute abysmal, apocalyptic, end of the world scenario, 10 being the greatest possible expansion of capital, pre-2007.
Okay, so we're definitely positive. That's why we're in this business, and we try and make sure that we deliver on that positive outlook. So I don't know if it's the 10, but we're definitely positive. It's a measured positive.
Got it. So you're a lean forward kind of guy. That's terrific.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much.